Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my must-start and must-sit running backs for week number 7 of the 2021 fantasy football season. Inside today's video, we're going to be going in-depth at the beginning of the video into my must-start running backs of the week, and then about halfway into the video, we're going to pivot into my must-sit running backs based upon their matchups for week number 7 of the 2021 fantasy football season. But before we can get on into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure to hit a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. I would also like to ask, if you are on Twitter and would like to follow me on there, to please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 7 must start and must sit running backs, beginning with the must start category, headlined by Cordarrelle Patterson, running back of the Atlanta Falcons, going up against the Miami Dolphins in Miami this week. It is safe to say, up to this point in the season, the Miami Dolphins run defense is flat out atrocious. It was an issue last year for the Dolphins defense. Even when their pass defense looked good up against the run, they were atrocious. And this year, the run defense isn't good, and their pass defense looks equally as bad up to this point in the season. So Cordarrelle Patterson should have a humongous showing on the week. In week number 5, up against the New York Jets, he had 14 carries, which was his highest number on the season, 14 rushes for 54 yards, and he had 7 catches on 9 targets for 60 yards in that London game. Even with him already having a bye last week in week number 6, he is still running back number 10 in half PPR. Even with him going on bye, he is still a top 10 running back in fantasy football. So you should continue to expect week in and week out that Cordarrelle Patterson is going to put up very big numbers game in and game out, just with how involved he is inside of this offense. I understand that Russell Gage is very likely to return in this game. Calvin Ridley should be there as well. And we saw in London that Kyle Pitts was very involved in the offense. But at the end of the day, Cordarrelle Patterson is still a focal point inside this Atlanta Falcons offense, which is a crazy kind of sentence to spew in 2021, that Cordarrelle Patterson is the focal point in any offense. But that's where we're sitting here in Atlanta. So I like Cordarrelle Patterson a ton this week. Same thing goes with the other running back, Mike Davis, but I am a lot more comfortable with Cordarrelle Patterson in this game up against the Miami Dolphins defense. The next must-start running back is Darrel Williams, running back of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Darrel Williams acquired more fantasy points last week in half PPR than Clyde Edwards-Helaire has ever had in a single game of his NFL career. All the way from his rookie season last year until 2021, the one game of Darrel Williams being the starter was better than anything that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has put up in the last year and a half up to this point. In the game up against the Washington football team, he had 21 carries for 62 yards and not 1, but 2 touchdowns in that game. This week, it is expected that he is going to be teeing off on the Titans' run defense. Expect some amazing production yet again from Darrel Williams. And until Clyde Edwards-Helaire ends up returning, regardless of the matchup at this point, it appears that Darrel Williams has to be a must-start running back in your lineup, because while the Kansas City Chiefs offense hasn't looked as great as it has in years past, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes does like to give the ball to Mr. Darrel Williams, so expect another solid game out of Williams in week number 7. Next up, my final must-start running back of the week is J.D. McKissic, running back of the Washington football team, going up against the Green Bay Packers this week in Green Bay. With Antonio Gibson banged up, McKissic has been given an increased role in this offense. And whether or not Antonio Gibson ends up suiting up in this matchup up against the Green Bay Packers may not be as important as you may think, because as long as Gibson is limited in some fashion, whether that is the fact that he suits up in the game and he's given a limited role, or if he's limited so much that they don't want to end up playing him, McKissic is going to be a very strong pivot point for this offense, and they are going to be giving him the ball a lot inside of this matchup up against the Green Bay Packers. Antonio Gibson is currently dealing with a shin injury, and last week up against the Kansas City Chiefs, McKissic had 8 rushes for 45 yards, and I understand that 8 rushes isn't a lot. 45 yards, that's pretty solid, but what you're looking for with Mr. J.D. McKissic, it doesn't really have too much to do with the amount of rushes he's going to be seeing game in and game out, and has a lot to do with the fact that he is going to be seeing a lot of targets with Antonio Gibson gone. Last week, he had 10 targets on 8 receptions for 65 yards. And again, Antonio Gibson was playing in that game. While he had the shin injury, he was in the game, then he's out of the game. He was kind of playing hot potato with being in the fucking game and being out of the game. And at the end of the day, even when that was the case with Antonio Gibson partially playing, J.D. McKissic was still eating like it was Thanksgiving dinner. And I expect J.D. McKissic to be in for a big spot up against the Green Bay Packers with an increased workload due to Gibson's injury. But before we get into the must-sit running backs of the week, I would like to let you guys know that we have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season to bring you guys some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you guys 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we'll reach out to you via email with your coupon. If you would like immediate access to play today, that's okay as well. All you have to do is email support@awesemo.com. Again, support@awesemo.com, and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim free $10 down below to use on any Yahoo contest. So make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give you guys your best shot at winning big. Again, make sure you guys check out Yahoo DFS. The link down below is in the description. So the must-sit running backs begin with Mark Ingram, running back of the Houston Texans, going up against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Last week, Mark Ingram showed up for the first time since week number 1 of the season. He had 18 carries in this game for 73 yards and a pair of catches for 8 yards in that matchup. This workload might have some fantasy managers buying in. They might be very excited to think, hey, maybe Mark Ingram is now the clear number 1 running back for the Houston Texans. And even if that is correct, they're going up against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals offense and defense looks amazing up to this point in the season, and you also shouldn't be surprised at all if David Johnson or Phillip Lindsay out-snap him, out-touch him inside of this game. So just leave Mark Ingram on the bench. I know a lot of people are going to get very pumped up for this matchup because they see that Mark Ingram was the guy last week, but don't believe in that. Just stay away from Mark Ingram. Next up, we got Myles Gaskin, running back of the Miami Dolphins, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. The Miami Dolphins offense is a complete and utter fucking dumpster fire. Even with Tua Tagovailoa putting up a very strong performance, putting up over 300 yards, having 2 touchdowns. I understand that he threw a pick, but he had a good game. Everything still went bad. Gaskin went from being a heavily utilized player in week number 5 up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to being severely underutilized up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. In this game, all he had was 5 carries for 9 yards and 2 receptions on 6 targets for 6 yards. Even with a solid matchup, even with, for a lot of running backs, this is a wet dream matchup. This is one of the best matchups you can get for a running back. There is no way I'm confident in starting Myles Gaskin. The Miami Dolphins offensive coordinators have their heads stuck so far up their ass that they don't even realize that they need to be utilizing Myles Gaskin more. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change. I thought it did change. I thought after going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and seeing how great Myles Gaskin looked, that they were finally going to give him the shine he deserved this season. And that was completely wrong, because I guess they don't watch the film. They want to give the ball to Salvin Ahmed. They want to give the ball to Malcolm Brown. There is no use in doing it. Please, Miami Dolphins, if you're listening to this, use Myles Gaskin more. But until then, there's no way you can start Myles Gaskin. And at this point, I am really thinking about dropping Myles Gaskin, and I probably would if there was any serviceable running back on the waiver wire. So final must-sit running back, final player of today's video is the other Myles. Miles Sanders, running back of the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. Nick Sirianni continues to just not run the ball in the first half. He says, you know what? In the first half, that's where we throw the ball. Instead of trying to tire the defense out by pounding the rock with a solid running back in Miles Sanders, let's just run it once, right? Miles Sanders ran the ball once in the first half for 1 yard before halftime up against the Buccaneers last week. At the end of the game, he had 9 carries for 56 yards and 2 catches for 10 yards by the end of the game. The issue has nothing to do with the fact that Miles Sanders isn't looking good. It has everything to do with the coaching system. Until they instill an ounce of trust into Miles Sanders, until they start actually running the football in Philadelphia, you can't start Miles Sanders. I understand up against the Las Vegas Raiders, this is a defense that a running back with the skill set of Miles Sanders could easily beat, right? He could easily have a big game up against the Las Vegas Raiders, but he won't, because the team is handicapping him. The team is not allowing this guy to go out there and rush for 1,000,000 yards, get these receptions, because Nick Sirianni refuses to use the running back. And again, until that changes, Miles Sanders is not in the same situation, though, as Myles Gaskin, because with Myles Gaskin, I feel like you can cut him, but Miles Sanders, I feel like there is still some hope just a slight amount of hope in my mind that I think maybe Sirianni will be able to actually put all the puzzle pieces together and figure this out. Now, it's going to be way too late for the Eagles team, maybe 2-3 weeks from now when he figures it out, but maybe it's not too late for your fantasy roster. So make sure you're sitting Miles Sanders, but I definitely am not looking to cut him just yet. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that like button as well. I love each and every single one of you guys. I hope you guys do have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.